for the parents who want to have the conversations but aren't sure what to say.
And I think that before we even like get to that point, right? Like sometimes we want to think about this idea of like, I want to raise kids who want to talk to me about stuff, who,
Yes.
when they're going through something hard, when they're in fifth
Yes.
grade and they're being bullied, they want to talk to me about these things. I think a lot of us, maybe especially, dear listener, if you're listening before your kids are 10 years old or 11 years
Mm-hmm.
old, my kid is 3 years old, my kid is 2 years old, my kid is
Yeah.
4 years old.
Lucky.
How do I end up having a kid who wants to have these conversations with me, let alone like, then how do I how do I have these conversations? So I do want to talk about how do we have these conversations, but then this idea of being, you talk about this, so this idea of being an askable parent, but
Yeah.
we did mention the beginning, how to talk, how scripts for setting boundaries, and I think that's all tied up, right?
Yeah. No,
That
it's all tied
idea
up.
of us being an askable parent, and then getting to this place. I just before this, I recorded an on-air coaching call where we talked about setting boundaries with a young child. How do we do that? And parents are worried about, I want to be this askable parent. I want to be the parent that my kid goes to, but I don't want to be a permissive parent. I don't want to be walked all over. I want to be holding firm boundaries when it comes to points of like, I'm saying no, I'm holding a boundary. Can you walk us through what are some ways to do that in like maybe in preschool and then elementary and then older kids?
Mm.
And you probably need some examples here, right? Like,
Yeah,
how.
I would love some examples, because you know your audience best, and we can kind of talk in some generalities, but then we can get a little more specific. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about a script for how to talk to our kids about not hitting our siblings.
Mm. Like, not that I would have ever experienced such things, because my kids were always perfect.
They were angels. We
Angels
know,
at
we
all
understand that they were perfection.
times. I mean, my kids are now 13 and 14, and they still argue. I still have to set these boundaries. I'm like, I'm not even kidding. And these poor people are like, my kid's 2 or 3. I thought this would be over by then. Sorry. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but it is the truth. So, first of all, you asked about, being that askable parent. That part of that is not freaking out when your child asks you something, that you probably have never discussed before, and taking a breath, as you so well do, Hunter, and encourage us to, and ground ourselves. And if you have a lot of baggage with a particular topic, like setting boundaries, that you talk to your friend, spouse, therapist about, because when you're talking to your child about something that's emotionally charged for you, you don't want to be, that shouldn't be the thing that comes before the words. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
the baggage to be dropped on your child before you can actually have a conversation. So that's just part of being truthful with yourself. If you weren't given a template for how to do this with, because your parents didn't do it with you, your parents were very authoritarian, or your parents were very permissive, and you're like, neither one of those is what I would like to follow, then you got to get serious with yourself and realize, like, okay, I wasn't given a template, so now I'm going to tune into what Hunter says. I'm going to tune into what Dr. Robyn says. I'm going to read these books. I'm going to, get some information. And if I'm feeling really overloaded, I'm going to overload it with my friend or therapist or whomever, and not with my child. So that's just like, this is the first caveat, I would say, because it can seep out so easily. Our personal baggage can seep out.